So, hi Nicola, nice to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself in the beginning?
Hi, thanks for having me here today and talking to me about what we're doing. So my name's Nicola. I'm a PhD student in England at Nottingham Trent Uni.
Mm,
And my research is looking at older adults and physical activity, keeping people moving for as long as they can, keep people in their homes for as long as possible, and generally just trying to, yeah, keep older people healthy, essentially.
yeah, yeah. So older adults trying to keep them moving.
Yeah.
How difficult is to motivate them to be active?
Yeah, and that's one of the problems, especially at the moment with everything that's going on. It's very easy just to sit back and not go outside, not go and do things because obviously all the social activities that have been stopped, you can't really go out, you can't see your friends as much. So yeah, it is a lot more difficult to keep people going.
Mm.
But
And how do you try to motivate them, teach them behavior change? What kind of strategies and tactics you are using?
I don't really have many strategies for motivating them at the moment. It's that's a bit further up the road of what we're trying to do. At the
Mm,
moment, it's more just understanding what they're doing and how much movement people are doing, what kinds of movements they're doing. So then sort of
mm.
give us a
So
baseline of where to
first,
start.
yeah, so first defining the baseline, how sedentary they are, how much they get MVPA, and then maybe trying to change behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So it's trying to work out what behaviour needs to be changed first before we
Mm,
start trying to come up with all these wonderful ideas that aren't really based on anything.
mm. Yeah, and you have chosen Fibion as one of the tools in your project. How did you end up choosing it?
Yeah, so we've been having a look at a few different systems that we've got, and I came across this one. So we're looking at a wearable sensor, something that we can just give to people that doesn't need to be attached in any particular way. So where it can be
Mm,
just put in a pocket and basically just forgotten about, you get a lot of people that are more willing to use it because they're not constantly reminded that they're being monitored. They can just sort of put it in a pocket and forget that it's there, which is kind of
mm.
the idea of it.
Yeah, and how do you feel working with the older people? Is it difficult with the technology with them? If they need to, have you tried any other things where they need to use some application? Does it work with them?
Well, the problem at the moment is that we can't actually test with any older adults because of all the social distancing and the keeping all the vulnerable people safe and everything else. We've not really had much experience with the older adults yet. It's been mostly me just
Mm,
testing out to see what would work and then talking to some potential participants about what they would be happy to use. And this is one of the ones that's come
mm,
up that people are very happy with and that they would be willing to try when we're allowed to go and test with them again and we can go and talk to them. So it's between this and a
yeah. So
watch-based system that we had. And yeah, so this is one of the ones that they seem quite keen on using when we're allowed to go and work with them.
yeah. So pandemic made your measurement quite a bit more difficult, and now you've been just
Yeah.
testing by yourself. How have you liked? What have you seen as the benefits of Fibion from your own testings?
Yeah, so from what I've been doing, mostly the initial setup I found like really easy. So it's just as straightforward as plugging it in and it's good to go. It's a lot easier than some other systems where you have to, put in what you actually want to collect, what times you want to collect it. You've got a start point, end point, what sort of data you want. With this one, you can just plug it in and go, and it's dead simple. It's a really easy way of collecting some useful data. And then also the
Mm,
outputs that you get from it. So having the sort of what's the word, the summary sheet that you get, that can sort of give you the overview to start with of what you're
mm,
looking at. And then being able to go into the data as well and sort of do your own analysis with it and look at it in a more in-depth way. And that's been really helpful. Just
mm.
having that sort of open-ended
Yeah,
part to it as well, that we can get into the
yeah,
data.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And so Fibion provides both the PDF reports and then the online reports which are working in the web browser. Which ones do you plan to use in your study?
It will probably be the web browser ones where you can download the Excel files as well and get into the data that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're still working out what we're actually going to use it for and what we're going to do with the older people. But it might be a case that we can give them some of the summary sheet or the PDF file as well, just so they can see what they do, to sort of start that motivation process of this is what you're doing at the moment. Come back in a few months and we'll see if anything's changed. We can have the same sort of summary sheet coming out of it. And that could be quite useful.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense. And how is it you've been testing it yourself during the pandemic in social distancing? Did you get any results that surprised you or shocked you, or how was your sedentary behavior and physical activity during these times?
Also, the first day that I had it, I was a lot more active, I think, because I was aware that it was there and I was trying to get some good data out of it. But then by day sort of 3 or 4, I'd sort of forgotten that I was wearing it. And there was a definite dip in how much I was standing up and how much more I was sitting down, which was quite interesting. But I
Yeah,
do stand up more than I thought I did, which is quite nice to know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it turns out I don't sit
yeah.
down for a long time very often.
Yeah, I think that's a good reason to measure more than 3 or 4 days from the participants, that they might be kind of pretending or changing their behavior. But if you go 7 or 10 days or even 2 weeks, usually people are not pretending that long. They usually forget, or it's a good behavior change if they are being more active for two weeks. So I think it's a good start.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's
so
definitely true. I think that's one of the main things I like about it as well, is having that longer time to collect data from.
yeah.
It's helpful.
Uh, and what do you think could be improved in Fibion? What's missing? What would you like to see in the features or whatever?
I think one of the only things with it is the sort of size of the leg strap that you've got. So if you've got people that don't have pockets, then you've got the leg strap system, which is a great idea. But I did try it with that for one of the days, and it does get a little bit uncomfortable at the end of the day because it is quite a chunky sort of strap. That would be sort of the only thing really that might put people off wearing it, is having that sort of bulkiness around it. I think if there was a way that sort of maybe clip it onto a belt strap or have it as a way of putting it on like the top of a pair of leggings or something, that might be more helpful. But I'm not sure what that would do in terms of the data collection and how accurate that would then be. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So for the accuracy, it needs to be in the following the movement and orientation of the thigh. And we actually had like a thinner leg strap in the beginning, but some people were saying that then to have it tight enough, then it kind of creates pressure when you have a smaller area. So we actually make it wider, and then people were saying that now it stays better on the place and doesn't create as much pressure. But I think we should probably bring as the other option also the kind of lighter version. And I think one thing you could consider, we have been using also the medical adhesive that you waterproof the device and then attach.
Yeah.
Although one of the challenges with the older people might be that they might have a little bit different skin. It's not as strong anymore, so then it might be challenging and it might be reacting a little bit easier than with the younger people. So yeah, it is a bit of challenge, the attachment of device always. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so the point about having things attached, yeah, it's definitely a good point. That was one of the things for not using the other sensors, the fact that it had to be attached to the body. So with having it as a wearable device that's not physically attached, it's a lot better.
Yeah. And who would you recommend Fibion to? What kind of project do you think it fits, and what kind of project you wouldn't use it in?
think that where it would be most useful is projects where you do want that longer data collection period. So I think something like, I think on your website it's something about less than 8 hours. It doesn't really do much. So it would have to be for any project that's over, say, a week or 2 weeks to get that sort of habitual data that people, just what people are doing in their everyday life. And that would be the projects that it's most useful for. Less useful would be, I guess, looking at specific movements, because I know you've got sort of walking, running, cycling, I think was on there, wasn't that? So if you're looking at, say, really specific movements around a home, looking sort of the activity daily living research and getting that really specific detail, probably not as helpful for that, but that's a very niche area, and it's something that, you know, you probably get a lot more specialist equipment for. But yeah, just for sort of general health behaviour type research, I think it's a really good system.
Yeah, makes sense. And how is your future project? How is the timeline? When do you plan to get your measurements going, and what's in the plans now?
Well, hopefully when everything, because we're starting to come out of lockdowns and everything in the UK now at the moment, and how that works out. So we're hoping to start getting some data collection going in May, June time. So the next couple of months we're starting to recruit some people and getting some of this data collected.
Yeah,
it's part of the idea.
Yeah, and how big sample group you are looking? How many people would you like to measure?
I'm not sure at the moment. That's something we're still in discussions about, of how many we can recruit and where we're going to recruit them from.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're really not sure at the moment. It's in a lot of the planning phase still.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully you get your project starting and no need for social distancing in some months. So good luck with your project, and thanks a lot for taking the time for this session.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much. It's been been nice talking to you today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.